what does the Bible say about drinking? And what does the Bible say about blessings? So I thought that I would review Genesis 9 as I go through and talk about new things that I read in the Bible that I haven't noticed before. And I want to talk about Genesis 9:20. So after the flood, Noah began to cultivate the ground and he planted a vineyard. One day he drank some wine and he had made, and he had become drunk and lay naked inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that his father was naked and went inside and told his brothers. So this is our first introduction to drinking, to wine, and to someone being drunk. And there's a couple interpretations. So some interpretation is showing how the fall happened after the flood, how we were still sinful creatures. Some other interpretations point to Noah not knowing, because was the first time a vineyard was talking about Noah not knowing how much to drink, Noah not knowing what wine would do to himself. And so I think that that's interesting because we hear throughout the Bible how drinking leads to sin. And in this instance, drinking led to Ham sinning against his father. And then further, we hear that Shem and Japheth, Noah's other two sons, took a robe, held it over their shoulders, and backed into the tent to cover their father. As they did this, they looked the other way so they would not see him naked. When Noah woke up from his stupor, he learned that what Ham, his youngest son, had done, and then he cursed Canaan, the son of Ham. So it's interesting because Noah does not curse Ham himself. Noah curses Ham's son. And I think that that's such a good reminder and a consistent reminder about what we see, where when God blesses something, it cannot be undone. That blessing cannot be undone. We see that further with Isaac and his sons Jacob and Esau. When he blesses Jacob in place of Esau, that blessing cannot be undone. And it's the same thing. For earlier in the Bible, it said that God blessed Noah. This is Genesis 9:1. God blessed Noah and his sons and told them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And so Noah could not undo God's blessing. And I think that that is such an important reminder too, that when God places a blessing upon you, it cannot be undone. It cannot be taken back. And so that is an interpretation of why Noah cursed cursed Canaan, Ham's son, instead of Ham. Another interesting tidbit, when I was reading a little bit more into this Noah's drunkenness and Ham's sin against his father, some interpretations in Hebrew text, when it says that Ham saw his father's nakedness, that can be interpreted that Ham abused his father in some way. I'm not going to go too far into that, but he potentially abused his father in his nakedness. And so that is also something new that I learned in reading this. I think it's so interesting to see how consistent the Bible is through and through, from Genesis to Revelation. And I think it's interesting to learn more about God as we read the Old Testament. Thanks for checking in.